Hello everyone, I'm Milan Singh. Welcome you all in this session. Today, I will be discussing with you Chhattisgarh Public Service Commission mains syllabus in detail. Yes, I am talking about CGPSC examination, that is the State PSC examination of Chhattisgarh. Before we begin, I would like to inform you that we here at Purvanchal IAS are providing you full GS course with Chhattisgarh Special. All you need to do is just go to the Google Play Store, type there Purvanchal IAS and download the app, and you will see many courses that we are providing in that app. For example, we provide UPSC course, full GS, UPPSC course, that is Uttar Pradesh State PSC examination, Madhya Pradesh State PSC examination. We have the course on NCERT as well, history, polity, geography, science, etc. There are other courses also available like science and technology, environment, polity, governance, geography, history, art and culture, and many more. Just download the app, be with us in this journey, and we'll make sure you reach your destination. Now starting today's video, CGPSC mains pattern I am going to discuss here in detail. Dear all, I have already discussed CGPSC examination pattern and syllabus and how is the examination conducted in detail in my previous video. So if you haven't watched that, please make sure you watch, because there I also talked about how should one start the preparation in the initial stages, and that will be helpful for you all. Now in the CGPSC mains examination, there are 7 different subjects. All of these papers are subjective in nature. That means you are supposed to write their answers. Short answers, medium answers, long answer type, that all you will get. We will be discussing soon. The duration of these papers, 3 hours each. The marks, 200 each. So ultimately, with 7 papers, the marks, total marks comes to be 1400. Now if you are selected, or if you are able to clear the mains examination, you are shortlisted for interview, which is of 150 marks, and the final merit list comes out of the grand total marks, which are 1550. Now let us see further detail of this mains examination. See students, the CGPSC mains papers are divided into 3 parts. That means the 7 papers that I talked about in the previous slide, they are divided into 3 different parts. Like the paper 1, which is the language paper, has part 1 as general Hindi, part 2 as general English, part 3 as Chhattisgarhi Bhasha. This paper 2 only is an exception. Why am I calling it as an exception? Because there is no third part in this. There are only 2 parts, international issues and Chhattisgarh state level issues. You are supposed to write essay on these issues from this paper. In the paper 3, that is the GS1, there is history of India, constitution and public administration, then there is history of Chhattisgarh. In the paper 4, that is the general study 2, the paper is general science. You can see this is general science, class 10th level actually. There is aptitude test, logical reasoning, mental ability. Then there is applied and behavioral sciences. I will discuss about that in the coming. It's called as GS3, that is general study 3. You have economics of India as well as Chhattisgarh. You have geography of India, and then you have geography of Chhattisgarh. In the paper 6, that is the GS4, you have subjects like philosophy as part 1, sociology as part 2, social aspect as part 3. Social aspects of Chhattisgarh specially. Please remember that. Then in the paper 7, one is about welfare and development. The second part is about international, national sports events and the organizations. This part is international and national educational institute and their role in human development. Okay. So here they are talking about the educational institute at the international and national level and how do they contribute to the development of humans is asked here. Okay. So please remember all the 3 parts for the reason because all of these 3 parts are important when it comes to questions appearing in the mains examination. How is that important? Let us see. See here, when we talk from paper 3 to paper 7, that means general study 1 to general study 5, this is how the segregation is done in the CGPSC examination. That means in each paper you have 5 sections, right? Suppose for example, that is the paper is this one, paper 3 GS1. We know that okay, there are 3 parts: history of India, constitution, history of Chhattisgarh. So suppose if this paper is conducted, there will be how many parts? There will be 5 parts. Please ignore how is this 5 looking. But okay, there will be 5 parts, and how are they supposed to appear in the examination? That is given here. See, in the section 1, you will have 22 compulsory questions. Each question carry 2 marks. That means you are supposed to write 22 questions carrying 2 marks, and word limit for them will be 30. Okay? 30 words mein you will have to write 2 marks questions that are 22 in number. Then you have section 2. In this section there will be 13 compulsory questions, 4 marks, and words limit is 60. See here, you have 2 marks question, 30 word limit, there will be 22 questions. In the section 3 you will have, see, in the section 3 when I talk about, there will be 2 compulsory questions carrying 8 marks. Okay? And the word limit will be 100. As far as section 4 is concerned, there will be 2 questions, but then a choice will be given to you, because out of these 2 you are supposed to attempt only 1 question, which is of 10 marks. In section 4 will come from part 2 of the syllabus. That means if we go back to our previous slide, here you can see this is the part 2 for all the papers. Okay. So specifically I am talking about from paper 3 to paper 7. Leave this language and essay for now. The pattern that I am talking about is applicable from paper 3 to paper 7. So in the section 4, you will get questions from this part, which is of 10 marks. Alright. And then next what it says is about section 5. What is about section 5? That there will be respectively 2 questions from part 1 and from part 3, out of which the candidate is expected or it is required to attempt only one question, and these will be of 15 marks and there will be 175 word limit. What does it mean is that this is part 1 and this is part 3, right? So from 3 to paper 7, the section 5 will contain questions from this part. Okay, section 5 will contain questions from this part. 15 marks question. So from each you will have, how many questions will you have from each part is, you will have 2 questions and you have to attempt one out of that. That is of 15 marks. Please keep this framework in mind, because this is important in your preparation also, so that you can prepare accordingly. Prepare for 2 marks, 4 marks, 8 marks, 10 marks and then 15 marks. Okay. Now let us move further and see. Now let's discuss the main syllabus in detail. Now talking about language paper, that is the paper 1. The pattern that I discussed with you is not really applicable in this language paper, as I told you, and it's not also applicable in essay paper. It's only applicable from paper 3 to paper 7. As far as this language paper is concerned, the first part is Samanya Hindi, that is general Hindi that you would have studied in your school level, class 10th level. You have Bhasha Bodh, Sanshipt Lekhan, Paryayvachi, Vilom Shabd, etc. This is the whole syllabus of Samanya Hindi, that is paper 1 Bhasha or language. Alright, this is the paper 1 of CGPSC mains examination, which is language, and out of which this is the first part talking about general Hindi. Then you have second part, which is of course English. You can see here the second part of paper 1 language is English, where you have comprehension, precise writing, rearrangement, synonyms, antonyms, vocabulary, active, passive, voice, tense, etc. Again, alright. you have to study about Chhattisgarhi language if you are appearing for CGPSC examination. Now, I would want to make one point clear that this paper is very, very important if you want yourself to reach to the interview level, because the marks of this paper is also included, and this is the paper you can excel and score more if you want to get into that top list. So when you start your preparation, make sure that you prepare for these language paper also since the beginning. Do not avoid it. There is so much to study. You just need class 10th level and start studying from the right 10th level onwards, Hindi, English and Chhattisgarhi Bhasha. At least try to cover as much as possible. Alright? Just essay paper, which has 200 marks and duration 3 hours, like I told you earlier also. Now please remember that this particular paper has only 2 parts. No third part is present here. When I talk about these parts here, you have part 1 with international and national level issues, and then you have part 2 with Chhattisgarh state level issues. What I'm trying to say here is that you have to write actually 2 essays on each of these issues. 2 essays. You will be given 4 problems or say 4 topics, out of which you are supposed to write 2 essays in each of this part. That is, in part 1 you are going to write 2 essays of 750 words, 50 marks each. Each issue will be of 50 marks. And then in the part 2 as well, you will get 4 problems, out of which you are supposed to write essay on 2 of the issues. And again here the word limit will be same and 50 marks. Okay. So this basically, if you do the current affairs and if you prepare other, chapters or other topics, you are actually done with it. You just need to go through the current affairs, the issues ongoing in the country and even in the international level and in the state level, specifically Chhattisgarh. Okay. So make sure you work on this paper also, because this is also a scoring paper you cannot avoid. Now starts the paper 3. That is, starting from paper 3 to paper 7, we have discussed what kind of pattern is asked. I told you there are questions in 5 sections, right? I hope this appears like a 5. There are questions from 5 sections. Now part 1 is history of India. All of us know history starts from the prehistoric age, that is the Stone Age, and you have to cover from Stone Age till the merger of states. That means this is the part of ancient India. From here you have medieval Indian history, and then you have expansion of British, and then starts the modern Indian history, and you have to cover till here. Please make sure that you stick to the topics given here, because you have proper topics given here like Vedic civilization, you have Satvahana, you have Gupta Empire, you have Vakataka dynasty, you also have Sultanate and Mughal, and then here if you see you have a settlement system, the land revenue system basically. Then you have in social religious reform, you have Brahmo Samaj, Arya Samaj, Pratna Samaj given here. You have Gandhian movements, Quit India movement, then you have reform movement of Muslims, Aligarh, Dalit, etc. Make sure you are well versed with all of these topics. Now, why am I talking about these syllabus in detail is because students, please remember that if you cover your mains syllabus, you automatically tend to clear your prelims also, because if you prepare all of these topics in detail, you are automatically preparing for prelims also. So you don't have to prepare for prelims separately and mains separately. Don't do this, because these are the overlapping topics, because they appear in prelims as well and they appear in the mains as well. Okay, now the part 2 of this paper is Constitution and Public Administration. That means you have to talk about constitutional development of India. That is basically the regulating act which starts from 1773 until the 1947 act. You have to cover that. Then you have to talk about formation of constitution. Then you have to talk about principles of state policy, directive principles, fundamental rights, attorney generals. Basically, all of the part of Indian Constitution. Then you have Government of Chhattisgarh here. So please remember that Chhattisgarh is included at this part as well. You have Government of Chhattisgarh to be covered. And from here starts a subject called as Public Administration. So remember, this is a new thing. Public Administration has to be covered. It is the question paper 3 and part 2 of Constitutional Development, right? In here, public administration, you have many topics like meaning and scope. Then you have new public administration, you have management leadership, you have administrative reforms, and many more to cover. Then in the question paper 3, basically you have history of Chhattisgarh. So students, please try to understand that if you're someone who is giving the CGPSC examination, the coverage of general study of Chhattisgarh is a must for all of you in order to clear this examination. Whether it is prelims or it is mains, its importance I have talked about in prelims also in my last video, and now you can see the importance in mains also. In all of the papers you have apart from Chhattisgarh. So when we talk about history of Chhattisgarh, you have again starting from the prehistoric age till the formation of Chhattisgarh state, okay? And you have major regional dynasties also. These dynasties basically, Nal dynasty, Sharapuriyas, Pandu, Somvanshi, Kalchuris, their administration. These are the regional dynasties of Chhattisgarh and very, very important. And you also have to go through what was Chhattisgarh's contribution in the Indian national movement, who were the workers, and what things took place here when we were into our Indian freedom struggle. Now starts the question paper 4, which is general science. Now don't be afraid after seeing so much of a syllabus here. Basically you have first part as chemistry, question paper 4. So actually question paper 4 you have, let me take up the pen. Okay, so part 1 here is of chemistry, then you have physics, and then you have biology. See, these are of very general nature, that is the class 10th level. So if you take the help of NCERT or even the state Chhattisgarh books of class 10th, they will actually be covered. And the topic segregation is also given here, like rate of chemical reaction, then there is metallurgy, metals, their position. This is something that you have actually covered in your, class 10th level as well. You can see there is transport, there is respiration, then you have nervous system, and then you have reproduction and many more. So this is basically class 10th level, and you just need to go through the NCERT and this part will be covered. And we here in Purvanchal IAS are also going to provide you this in a very nice manner. Then there is a part 2 which talks about aptitude test, logical reasoning and mental ability. See, here you have addition, subtraction, multiplication, all of these that you have studied in your school days. You just need to make a revision of all of these. There is ratio, proportion, then there is commercial mathematics like banking, calculation of interest, savings, etc. You have LCM, HCF, you have Vedic mathematics, then you also have data interpretation, actually class 10th level. There is applied mathematics which talks about profit and loss, percentage, time, distance, speed, etc. River and boat, all of these are covered here. Relation test, alphabet, coding and decoding. Basically, the part of CSET or aptitude is asked here in the mains examination. So again, you have to go back to the school days, the mathematics of school days, and you have to cover this. You can just daily practice maths from these topics and it will be covered. Then of this part only, like the question paper 4, we basically have the part 3, which is applied and behavioral science. What we have is the applied and the behavioral sciences. What is here is information technology, basic knowledge of computers, applications of IT. Then you have also energy resources, because we are a lot of talking about renewable and non-renewable, solar energy, etc. Science and technology, its progress, biodiversity, importance of biodiversity, threats to biodiversity, air pollution, basically environmental pollution. All of this is the part of applied and behavioral sciences. This will also be covered by us in Purvanchal IAS. Then you have question paper 4, have question paper 5, that is the general studies 3, of which the part 1 is economics of India and Chhattisgarh. So please remember, here also apart from national level, Chhattisgarh is also included. You have to see national per capita income, structural changes in the economy, that is GDP, etc., private and public sector, poverty, unemployment, monetary policy, public debt, fiscal deficit, and etc. And in reference to Chhattisgarh is right here, that is the economics of Chhattisgarh, where you have to focus on demographic features, backwardness of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other backward caste and the minorities. You have literacy, occupational structure, economic empowerment. You have a budget, the state finance and budgetary policies. Then you have internal, external debt, including World Banks, etc. All of these are included here. So you have to make sure to cover these topics. Then in the part 2, you have geography of India, which includes this physical geography, having location, extension, drainage, etc. Then you have human geography, which talks about population, population growth, density, migration, literacy. You have Indian agriculture, their characteristics. You also have mineral storage, energy resources, industries. That means physical geography, human geography, and economic geography. All of these are to be completed here in terms of India. And not only in terms of India, dear all, it also has to be completed in terms of Chhattisgarh, because part 3 of this paper, that is paper 4, is geography of Chhattisgarh. Same here, physical features supposed to be completed. Then you have human characteristics to be completed. And then you have, mineral resources, energy resources, industries, etc. of Chhattisgarh also to be covered. Very, very important. Please remember, this is part 3 from where you're going to get questions of 15 marks. You cannot ignore, right? You have to get good marks, so you have to work on Chhattisgarh Spatial as well. Now this is paper 6. Now this is not a general topic. This is basically a subject, but is included here in the paper 6. This is philosophy. Philosophy is a subject. In this paper, philosophy and sociology both are included. And the syllabus of philosophy also is a bit vast. As you can see, we have to in a generalized manner talk about nature of philosophy, its relation, etc. Then we have philosophy of Gita, we have, philosophy of Charvaka, we have the philosophy of Jain, etc. And then we have philosophers from, Indian and also Western, like you have Guru Nanak here. You have Guru Ghasidas also here, Sir Aurobindo Ghosh you have Bhimrao Ambedkar. And when talking about Western philosophers, you have Plato, you have Aristotle, you have, Spinoza, and you have many more. Like you have Kant, you have Hume, you have Hegel. So you need to cover all of these. And apart from this, in the philosophy only, there is ethics also being covered. Here you can see ethical values, ethical dilemma, honesty, responsibility, etc. are the part of nature, like paper 1 of question paper 6. Part 1, question paper 6. See, this is part 2, which is sociology. You can see meaning, primary concepts like society, community, etc. Then you have social interactions. You also have Hindu social organizations, religion, ashram, etc. You have the topic of social stratification. You have social problems. You also have research and techniques that is being applied in the field of sociology that you are supposed to cover. In the part 3, you have social aspects of Chhattisgarh. Please remember, here also part 3 belongs to Chhattisgarh. Social aspect, that means basically the tribal society, the tribal social organization, their marriage, their claim, youth dormitories, main ornaments worn by the tribal people, then their problems like isolation, migration, acculturations, etc. Then what are the protected archaeological monuments, excavated sites in the state? All of these are to be read by you and covered by you. We will also see how to cover all of these. Just wait for a while. In the paper 7, the included part is part 1 is the welfare and development programs and laws. Please remember that this talks about first the social and important legislation in terms of India, like Indian society, social legislation, rights protection legislation, human rights protection. Then you have CRPC protection granted to females. You also have Protection Act 2005 to females from domestic violations. You have right to information, IT Act, etc. to be covered. Please remember that this second and this third part is of Chhattisgarh. Here you have to cover laws and acts in Chhattisgarh and their welfare and developmental impact on residents of Chhattisgarh. And in the welfare schemes, you have to also go through different welfare schemes by the Chhattisgarh government for the different sections of the society. In the part 2 of this paper, you have international and national sports events and organization. You have different organizations like UN, International Monetary Fund, you have World Bank, you have World Trade Organization, you have BRICS, you have other bilateral regional groups. Along with this, you also have national and international sports and competition to be covered in this part. Basically, the current affair part is included here. Just have the basic brief knowledge all of this and then keep an eye on the current affairs that is happening in relation with these topics. Then you have part 3, which talks about International and National Educational Institute and their role in the human development. I think you must be aware that recently the education policy have also changed after so many years, and hence again this topic becomes very important. This is the whole part 3, so you are going to get question of 15 marks from this. What you have here is the availability of skilled human resources, employability. Then you have various institutions and their roles in human resource development, such as, higher education and national commission. Then you have national educational research. All of these are given here. You have UGC, Open University, IITs, National Law University. All of these you are going to cover, and you have to basically focus on what is their role and how has they basically contributed to the development of a particular society or to the development of educational fields, the human development in the educational aspect. Now you can see that the length and breadth of the syllabus is really, really vast. The question arises that how we are supposed to cover this. Now I will tell you some of the things. Please keep in mind when you start your preparation. In my previous video also I have talked about how you are supposed to approach CGPSC examination. Please pay attention here. Dear students, when you see the syllabus of pre and mains, you will find many overlapping topics. But then you will also find some of the topics which are exclusively for mains. But when you start the preparation, please start the preparation of pre as well as mains simultaneously. Do not think that first I will prepare for prelims, then for mains, or first mains, then prelims. Do not fall into this debate. Please start the preparation simultaneously. Why? Please see. Because, see here, history of India, constitution, history of Chhattisgarh, general science, aptitude test, logical reasoning, applied and behavioral sciences, economics, India and Chhattisgarh both, geography of India, geography of Chhattisgarh, social aspect of Chhattisgarh, this and this part, and also this part. All of these, and even this general Hindi and Chhattisgarhi. These all are the parts of prelims exam also. What is this? These are the parts of preliminary examination of Chhattisgarh. Okay? That means these are all the overlapping topics. Do you see how many overlapping topics do you have? Now let's see what are the topics that is exclusively for mains. Let me change the color so that there is no confusion. See, the blue color ones, the essay part. See, this general English. Then you have philosophy, and then you have sociology. See, not geography, just sociology. Let me erase this one and draw it again. Sociology. So dear students, you can see there are only 5 topics which are exclusively for mains, but rest all of the topics present marked here in red belongs to overlapping topic. That means if you cover these topics, these all topics, your pre automatically gets covered. The moment you cover this Hindi, Chhattisgarhi, general science, Indian history, Chhattisgarh history, constitution, this CSET or aptitude, This applied behavioral, that means biodiversity, information technology, IT, all of these are asked in the current affairs also. Economics of India and Chhattisgarh, geography of India and Chhattisgarh. All of these, if you cover the main syllabus, you will automatically cover the prelims and your prelims will definitely be qualified. So the moment you think about starting the preparation, what you are supposed to do is, please take the printout of syllabus, read it 2 to 3 times or as many times as possible so that it is into your mind all the time. Please read each and every topic. Then make a timetable or whatever way you are comfortable with. Read the things topic wise. Suppose you thought, okay, let me start with history of India. Fine, okay. Now what is in the history of India as per the syllabus? Let's see. You have here history of India. Okay. Now you've decided you're going to study history of India. You have prehistoric age. Alright. You study the prehistoric age. Now go and solve the question from the previous year papers. Please do the analysis of previous year paper topic wise. Please see how many and what kind of questions came from this particular section. After studying, are you able to solve them? Not only of the pre plus mains, but mains also. What kind of questions were asked in the mains examination from this section? Are you able to write the answers of the same? You can do this. There is another way also that you can follow is, please remember that as far as history is concerned, geography is concerned, you can actually read the part of India as well as Chhattisgarh simultaneously. Why do I say this? Because see this prehistoric age, Stone Age. Stone Age evidences you have from India, and in India you also have evidences of Stone Age in Chhattisgarh. So when you are covering this topic of prehistoric age in India, at the same time, please cover the topic of prehistoric age of Chhattisgarh also. Please see from where do you find evidences in Chhattisgarh of this particular age. So at the same time, you are able to cover history of India as well as history of Chhattisgarh, and then you can attempt question. You can make notes as per your choice in the same place so that everything is at the same place. For example, see this Mauryan Empire. Very important empire in the ancient Indian history, and this has its presence in Chhattisgarh also. So when you are writing a notes of Mauryan Empire or when you are reading about Mauryan Empire of India, please read about the presence of Mauryan Empire in Chhattisgarh also at the same time, and then try to solve to attempt the question. See here. In the history of India, you find these overlapping topics. Prehistoric age, history of Chhattisgarh from Vedic to Gupta. Then you have Chhattisgarh under Marathas, British, Chhattisgarh under Protectorate, Farmer State. See, all of these topics are actually overlapping between history of India as well as Chhattisgarh. But the topic that you have to study differently will be topics such as regional dynasty, the major regional dynasty like this one. Nal dynasty, Sharapurya dynasty, Pandu, Somvansh, Kalchuri, etc. Because these were specifically present in Chhattisgarh as they are the regional dynasty. So you are trying to understand me. Please read the syllabus. First of all, go through the syllabus, try to understand the pattern. Then do a question paper analysis, that is the previous paper analysis of prelims as well as mains. See these parts carefully. Note down in your notebook anywhere which are the overlapping topics and which are the topics exclusively for mains. And when you write the overlapping topics, apart from prelims plus mains, please also mention the overlapping topics between India and Chhattisgarh. Like the history, you have overlapping topics. In economics, you may have little overlapping topics. In geography, you have overlapping topics. Geographical extent of India, then you read about the geographical extent of Chhattisgarh. So this is how you can make your preparation simultaneously for prelims and mains, and you can cover all the aspects. And I suggest you to make, short objectives or say small objectives, achievable. Do not do it like that, okay, you make a timetable for whole month and you decide that, okay, I will be studying for 15 hours. Don't do that. Please make small, smart objectives which are, measurable, real and achievable. And I'm sure you will be able to clear this examination. And here again reminding you, at Purvanchal IAS, we are providing you full GS course with Chhattisgarh Special. You can take this and I'm sure it will be of great help to you people. Thank you so much for watching me. For any questions, you can contact us. Thank you so much. Have a good day.